My name is Luke, and I'm a senior, and I'd like to welcome you to chapel. Let's start off as we usually do as a Christian community. The Lord be with you. And without any announcements, we will now begin for a prayer for the world. We'll begin our chapel.
Hi everyone, my name is Joan, and I come from Uganda, Africa. I've been here for almost 10 months, and I would like to pray for my country, Uganda, just in raid. So join me as I pray for my country. Thank you. Heavenly Father, thank you so much, for you are so great, for you are so gracious, for you are so merciful. There is no one compared to you, Lord. Lord, by your power, by your love, we were created in your image. Lord, I would like to take this opportunity to pray for my country, Uganda. I'd like to take this opportunity, Lord, to pray for each and every Ugandan person, King of Glory. And Lord, I pray for your love, I pray for your mercy, I pray for your provision, Lord, in the poverty that is roaring, King of Glory, within Uganda. Lord, I pray for health, I pray for healing, for whatever sicknesses in Uganda, Lord, King of Glory. And Lord, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that you've been enough. You've been Jehovah Jireh, our provider, Lord. Father, through all the ages, you remain the same, and there is nothing that can ever separate us from your love. So I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful that you chose Uganda and you had a perfect plan for all of us. So Lord, I pray that your will may be done in Uganda, in the leadership of Uganda, in the people of Uganda, King of Glory. And Lord, that we may love you, that we may glorify you, Lord, King of Glory. For you deserve all the glory, you deserve all the honor, for you are a precious God and a mighty God. Thank you so much, Lord. Right now, we don't know what is happening within that country, but you know everything that is taking place. That's why we trust you, we run to you, and we trust you, God, that you may take care of Uganda, that you may take control, that you may be the ruler, that you may be everything that they've ever needed, that we've ever needed. Thank you so much, Father, for you are worthy and for you are glorious. In Jesus' name I pray, amen.
Before we sing, just as Jesus said, "Peace I leave with you, my peace I give you." Please rise and pass the peace of Christ to each other.
This is the second installment and possibly the last of Under the Broken Lamp. And it's a little impromptu, but listen.
Hold on. It's completely impromptu. I got contacted yesterday at about 4 p.m. Hey, our chapel speaker canceled. Can you help me out? And I immediately thought of our verse, who shall I call? Not me, Lord. And I said, no way. And Boris says, hey, we're going to be talking about poisonous spiders and snakes. I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do it. And then I get up here and I find out it's spiritual, so this is going to be tough, but bear with us.
So here's the idea. Okay, here's the idea. A couple weeks ago, we had. I don't want to give you this idea that if you have a sense of being sent or send me, if we say yes to God and we're sent to go out there, I really want to fight the sense that you have to go to India or Australia. And I really liked the way Ben picked up on that theme yesterday or last week and said, you know, once he got there, he realized it was the little normal things he had even done here that meant so much. But I did want to talk to a live person, and since Paul is my, frankly, go-to guy, I feel like I can pressure in and use a friendship to twist his arm. that I felt like I could go to him, but it's also, here's a former Christian high student who you were worried about the future when you were here.
Worried about a lot, Larry.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Lived with anxiety?
Graduate of 1984. It's a great class. Actually, it wasn't a great class. It was actually a not real good class. But yeah, I was, and still am, just, highly anxious about things. So, like chapels, this impromptu stuff, it's freaking me out, man.
What were you afraid of? I mean, I remember in high school, I was just afraid I was going to end up homeless, or like an uncle of mine who, he was well-educated, great guy. He lives on the other side of the world, so I don't have to worry about you knowing him. But I always thought, there was this kind of ideal type of person that was well-educated but didn't have a lot of jobs. And
right.
I was always afraid I was going to be a homeless loser.
Can I, just to reassure you, Larry, that I would argue West Michigan is a very good place for homeless people.
It's true.
With dégagé and God's Kitchen. But no, I was never too worried about homelessness. But I did worry about, I had brothers that were very successful in fields that I knew I didn't want to deal with. Medicine and philosophy they took at Calvin. I wasn't going to touch that with a 10-foot pole. But, the medical part, in the success that they had and still have today, I as the fourth in line, I felt this kind of underlying pressure to stay the course, and I really wasn't. I mean, Mad Magazine was the reading that I did through high school and even into college. Sports Illustrated every once in a while. I just was not into academics that much, so I had this fear of what am I going to do? Always did well in school, but not really cared much about it. But just always had issues with worrying about my social place, worrying about what I was going to do. Very little direction, quite frankly. So,
did you have a sense of two things? Maybe the first one is, how did you end up where you did then? I mean, you're reasonably successful. I really like your house over there by Garfield Park. 2 front doors has always intrigued me about it.
It's 100 years old.
Yeah.
I have not told my daughters this yet. I apologize. But
it's got a huge spider in the basement.
It's enormous. But yesterday morning, I was downstairs at 5:40, and I hear a noise in the corner of one of our dark, dank basement rooms. And I see this black creature scurrying across the floor.
Big or little?
It's, to me, huge, but it was
Okay.
probably about like this. But I don't deal with animals very well. But it flew up, and then, horror of all horrors, this mouse thing climbs up the wall. It's climbing on the wall, Larry.
Which means it's mobile through the whole house.
Yeah, and could climb up me
While
and
you're
like
sleeping.
gouge an eye out. So I back up a little bit, and he scurries and kind of does a little look around, like in The Exorcist, that head just all the way around. He looks at me and then just keeps climbing, goes up the window, and then climbs up into this crevice, a 100-year-old house. There's just cracks, and I was just like,
what was it?
who do I send, Lord?
Yeah, not me.
Me. No, he got, and now my plan is to try to seal that crack up, but it's just stressful. What was the question at the beginning?
Oh, but you're reasonably successful.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
How did you maneuver through all that fear in a way?
You know what? We talked about this the other day.
Yeah.
But looking back retrospectively, you see the hand of the Lord kind of pushing you along. Because at the time, if you ask me how I got here, I'm not really sure in a lot of ways. But I know that I was thinking very seriously about law. And yet at the same time, I was involved in sports, and I enjoyed working with, not all children, but like high school age children.
Okay.
Little children, they're just hard to manage for me. I try. So I thought, hey, that's a legitimate thing I can do too, because I had some issues with learning because of anxiety. I would get test anxiety, and I would hear voices. Don't be scared. Things would mess with my mind when I was test taking, and so I knew that, hey, I'm gonna be able to understand, students that struggle with some of these things, and I'll, hopefully be able to help a little bit. And so I thought about education, decided to go into education, and then when I started looking for jobs, I knew I wanted to get out of West Michigan, which was my comfort zone, essentially.
Yeah.
And mostly because I wanted to see what it was like to see, the sun and warmth. So I looked in Florida, Alabama, Arizona, and by chance, I ended up in Arizona, and it was a weird chance. And again, I look back and I say, well, that's the Lord pushing me out here, because I was the third guy in line for that job, and I was looking really closely at Alabama, and just in the very end, last minute, I got a call, and I headed out to Arizona. And that was really good for me. But then again, by chance, my parents are out there. My dad worked with the NCAA, and they had a committee meeting in Tucson or somewhere. So he stops by, and he throws the banner. You guys know what the banner is? It's like a CRC publication. Yep. In the back of the banner, there's classified ads. In Grand Rapids Christian High was looking for strictly a government teacher. I didn't read the banner. I didn't read any Christian publications. I was completely inundated with work, and boom, it just popped up. Why I was even going through that, I have no idea.
Yep.
But I saw it, and I was 2 years into teaching in Arizona, and I made the call, and I was way late. It was like 2 weeks into the process, but Mr. Staper, the principal at the time, he said, hey, we can push you in yet, and went through all the interview process and so on, and ended up back here doing what I love in political science, working with seniors at that time. It was just spectacular. But again, I intentionally moved away, and then ended up right back in the lap. I mean, this is where I went to school, so it was crazy.
And you would say when you were going through it, you didn't have a clear sense of God all the time, but
No.
you get that sense largely when you look back.
Oh, yeah, for a long time, Larry, no God, quite frank. I got caught up in life.
Yeah.
And I didn't, I had no prayer routine. I had no devotional routine. I taught in a Christian school, so I was always able to tie in.
But
in
those
school.
first years just...
But there were years of, I thought I was running my own life.
Yeah.
And I wasn't.
Yeah.
And I see that now. Looking back retrospectively, everything is so much clearer. But when you're living it, and I'm sure that's true of a lot of you guys, when you're living it, you don't see it all the time. And when I hear stories of people that say they hear the voice of God, it always makes me wonder about the strength of my faith.
Yeah.
Because I can't say I've ever heard the voice of God, and that makes me I always wonder.
But you do have, I remember, and now this is probably it's my favorite graduation speech. Paul gave it. He had this idea that people don't remember their graduation speech, so he was going to fix that. And he gave a speech, and I would guess the first 3 minutes, a tremendously long time. After the speech, I thought it was 10 minutes.
It's too long.
But it was like 4 minutes. He gave a speech on the history and good of refrigeration in the United States. And the audience was sitting there going, why are we talking about refrigeration? And parents are looking at each other, and Kids are looking, and it went on and on and on about the history, refrigerated boxcars and the influence on the cattle industry, and then household refrigeration, and it kept going and kept going, and I was sitting in the audience thinking, my friend is crashing, and this has to stop. I was screaming inside of my head, and then you stopped and said, I stole this speech off the internet, but at least you'll remember this graduation speech. And then, and this was really my favorite part of the speech, is then you gave a short testimony, and if you don't mind me saying in front of your daughters and the school, you got a little choked up in the speech, and you said something about feeling the hand of God coming down into your life. So, you have had that sense, haven't you?
Refrigeration has done more for the world, seriously, than words can describe.
It has.
You need images, like
Yeah.
rainbows, bunnies.
Yeah, but also, the cattle drive stopped because of the refrigerated boxcar. The cowboy went out of business.
True.
People did not have to make daily trips to the grocery store anymore because they were able to keep and preserve food for much greater lengths of time, which freed up people for greater employment. The modern household, the fact that most of you come from families with multiple people working, is largely due to refrigeration.
But back to your question.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry. That when you're talking to a group of graduating seniors, and you recall very vividly that time in your life, it got emotional for me because I went arguably the wrong direction.
Okay.
I was doing my own thing, and I was almost intently avoiding church and prayer and all of those things. And yet, as things in my life got difficult,
You have a sense of being turned.
oh, without a doubt,
Okay.
I would be dead or hanging out with you homeless on the streets of Grand Rapids if it weren't for those just weird moments where I know, looking back, I was turned around.
What would have helped? Would anything have helped in high school if you had looked at things differently, or do you think you think? What do you think about that?
No, I think it would have helped to have some evaluation, maybe. But knowing that other people deal with those same stresses would have helped immensely, because I always felt alone.
Yeah, it does. It's isolating.
And just knowing that
I've had that.
You're not in isolation, that everybody deals with some sense of anxiety and wonder, and you just have to have the faith to know that God knows what's right for you, even though you don't always know. You don't know. You may not know your path.
Yeah.
But we always forget as humans, because we have that just innate and stupid ability to try to do things on our own. Just remind yourself every day that God's in control. Don't.
And there's
don't
a community
stress.
around you, and the community struggles.
Yeah, and that's funny. It came
And
up.
they all probably think they're alone.
Right.
And I have gone through that.
We had a devotion today in my first hour AP about a guy that compared Christian community to drafting in bicycling.
Okay.
Where the front guy cutting the wind, the guys behind him are taking advantage of that, and it's easier. And then you take your turn at the front and fight for the pack. And everybody's going faster than they ever could on their own.
Right.
And this author said, this is our Christian community.
Yeah.
When you're feeling strong and strong in your faith, you are there to help others in your community that aren't. And when you're struggling, you have to be willing and humble enough to accept the fact that you need people praying for you, helping you, guiding you. And the mistake I made, and I've said this to my parents too, nobody did anything to lead me astray. I intentionally disconnected from my community. And this is an amazing not just the Christian school community, but the churches.
Yeah.
It's just unbelievable, that resource that we have. And oftentimes we don't take advantage of it.
Okay. Usually I tap you to do Reader's Theater, and you're hilarious in that. I tapped you for this time, and you were very honest, and thank you very much for that. I do think we can't hear it enough that we're not alone. We are not alone. And thank you very much, and have a blessed day.